Welcome to another season of Cleveland Indians baseball. Here's a list of players we're going to be inviting to training camp this year.
A few moments later.
So what was this now? You don't like America anymore or something because you researched this?
That's really the takeaway here. Is Jared doesn't care? I mean, are you rooting for Iran right now? Is that what's happening?
Is this Ayatollah Gibson?
Ooh, I see where we're going here. I see where we're going.
All right, everybody, welcome to the most ill-conceived business podcast around, the Business of Bullshit podcast. I'm James Hornick, and joining me are a gentleman who loves America and a gentleman who hates America. I'll let you decide which.
Oh, Jesus
Jared
Christ.
Gibson and
What
John
are we doing?
Yeah.
God.
Thank you, James.
And James is just Switzerland over here, just hanging out.
So what's funny is we had this is John's idea. I want John to take the lead here, but just kind of setting this up. We had an idea for episode 31, this is now. Made in America is bullshit. We didn't realize we'd be taking such a patriotic topic right when we started a war. So once again, we're kind of late to the game and people might get mixed signals, but we are going to qualify what we mean when we say made in America is bullshit, because I think most of you will agree with us. But John, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, so my biggest gripe here and the reason for it is that there's a whole lot of smoke and mirrors that involves the whole made in America thing, where people are just essentially playing people based on a sense of patriotism, and marketing is like the worst for it. I don't want to essentially come off as like judgmental to some of the companies I'm sure we're going to talk about today, because there's a game that's been set up for them, but I think it's absolutely just ridiculous that we can say, hey, it was made in America because somebody touched a box, right? And I think it just plays on a lot of these things. And not to get too far into it, but a healthier country is a country that actually makes something, and exports it to another. Big part of GDP. And you're hearing a lot of people that are griping, saying like, oh, we need to bring American jobs back here. Yeah, while that's true, it's not easy. And there's a whole lot of things that are in the way of making that happen. And I just don't think enough people know it. So let's have some fun.
I will say, I didn't know a ton about this topic until you said you want to talk about it. And then I started researching it. I didn't realize the levels of bullshit that go into companies
it is so sad.
Not doing anything at all in America or next to nothing and marketing their product as made in America. I mean, it's like the stolen valor of consumerism, ultimately.
Totally. Like literally, like I was saying, it's like they'll touch a box, they'll put a sticker on it, and they're like, made in America, baby.
They turn the last screw, made in America.
Yeah.
And then they advertise for it. So I found it. We're going to talk about a lot of these things, and a lot of it sounds interesting. Jared, you had a different take, though. You didn't really give a shit about this.
He's like,
all right. I don't necessarily know if I had a different take. I just don't necessarily know if I have a take. For me, I don't pay much attention to it. Like, and I was looking at stats and I was doing some research. I saw that, like, an example, 11% of clothing that's sold in the United States is actually made in the United States, which is pretty crazy number.
That's way
I
higher
didn't realize
than
that.
I even would have guessed.
I think that a lot of times consumers say that they care, but do they really care? Like, everyone says that they want to buy like American and they're willing to pay a premium for it or whatever that is. But like, I don't necessarily know if that's really true. And it's not like the e-commerce companies are really making it super transparent as well. Like, you can go on any e-commerce site. I mean, shit, Amazon, and they're not necessarily telling you where all this stuff's made.
They're
for
literally
me, it's
not telling you.
Yeah, they're not. But for me, it's like price, it is quality. I'll look at the reviews, all that. I don't even put is it made in America in my top 5. And maybe that's anti-American, but it's just, I don't know. That's just where I'm at on this.
I tried to do a China-free Christmas. All the gifts that I bought for everybody weren't from China. That's when I really got upset about this. It was probably like 10 years ago.
You realized you were buying a bunch of stuff from China.
Dude, it was so hard. Like just to buy decent gifts for people that are made in the U.S. was not an easy feat. Yeah.
So I
got lumber.
I didn't realize one thing I want to talk about, kind of getting into this, is the jargon around this, because this is something. I mean, I kind of knew it was all bullshit, but getting specifically, there's different ways you can phrase it that have different standards, and the FTC has a lot to do with this. So they've even said you can't really regulate this, even though there are laws for it. So, assembled in the USA. It is one, so it's legal if it's principally assembly is done here and it's quote unquote substantial. The components can be 100% foreign. So assembled in the USA is different. Then there's designed in the USA, which is completely unregulated. It means absolutely nothing. So anyone can say something's designed in the USA. And
I think Apple does. I think Apple
They do.
does that.
They say design in California.
Apple's the one that
It's
does
like,
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
a meeting happened here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the equivalent of what they're saying. Yeah.
They said, less than 1% of phones sold in the U.S. are manufactured domestically. So Apple's iPhone users, good job, bunch of rubes. Anyways, there's crafted in
Thanks.
USA from domestic and imported materials. I get there is a whole Williams-Sonoma thing. I don't know if we want to get into it. You can kind of Google it. They're one of the biggest offenders that actually got slapped on the wrist for it. They use that phrase on products made entirely in China. I will say as a side note, so the Williams-Sonoma, Google that because they got hit up for this. But when they got hit up, their fine was like $1 million or $3 million, or
So
like something
pathetic.
so petty and like
Yeah.
insignificant. It's like a line item in their marketing budget. So even like the regulations, if you like violate these laws, are nothing. And I do believe as soon as they got hit, they went back and just went and did it again. Like they just didn't give a shit. Global components, American quality. Again, so doesn't really mean anything. Our products are made with American pride, also meaningless, can't be enforced. It's another thing that these places use. I mean, the FCC even they acknowledge that like some of these things can be. There are laws in place for some of them, but it's like impossible to enforce. And like, how much do we even want our tax dollars going towards trying to bust Williams-Sonoma for $1 million fine? Like, it's nonsense. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
like, there's so many. Like you could say, like Nike does the same thing. They do designed in.
yeah.
For some of those Dell, GoPro. GoPro seems like a very American, brand for like extreme sports. Nope, same thing. New Balance, though. Do you guys know about New Balance, the game they play? So they say made in America. Yeah, like I think it's like just a small fraction of their shoes are like made in America. So they can say like, yeah, hey, they're made in America. They have like a factory, which in comparison to the others, they're better, but it's still it's a game that's being played.
I thought you were going to say like it's either North or South America. It's not even like the United States. It's just like
No, that'd be super
that would
shady.
be one hell of a scam there.
Yeah.
What about like I think one of the biggest ones that if you think about like the arguments, the most popular arguments around this are cars.
Oh, dude.
Like-
yeah,
like
Toyotas
cars are the biggest
more
one.
American than like Chevys and Fords. If
Well,
you
that's what
actually
I was
look at
saying, like-
the components.
The amount of parts that are made from like a Ford or something like that, like do not have an answer to this, but I would guess over 50% of the parts that are in a Ford car are made
I'd say more
overseas
than that, like
somewhere.
the door lock components and like
Yeah,
all
all
the
that stuff.
electronic
So-
crap. Yeah, we're not doing that.
It's
here.
just whenever I hear people say like, oh, like I like used to drive a Hyundai, now I drive a Jeep. Like, it's just like, who gives a shit? Like the quality of the car is what I'm going for. Does the car last? Do I enjoy the car? When you start thinking the detail about like, oh, that's not an American car, and somebody's bragging about the fact they drive American, it's like, dude, if you look at the details on the car that you're driving that you think is so American, it's not as American as you think it is.
I agree. I mean, what the profits are going to be American at that point. I mean, for jobs, and this sucks, dude. Like because
the jobs
I
thing is
I
another.
want to buy American, but it's very very difficult, right? And I'll pay a premium in some areas, not an exorbitant amount, right? But something that's realistic. But with U.S. policy over decades, it's been made very difficult to actually keep jobs here for a lot of these things between like regulation and also incentives to go over, whether it's going to be like NAFTA or like in 2000 when China joined the World Trade Organization. And there's like other things, like even just take tax incentives, right? So it makes sense to actually have corporations overseas just based on taxes. When there's this game being played at the highest level that is just essentially for profits, not to keep American jobs, it's very difficult to even create anything here. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have just two other dominating giants, the U.S. government and then just big corporations that are not going to worry about the middle class, which essentially are the people that are going to be in the factories that would be making these things. We're screwed.
It's interesting that you don't see pushback on things like like in the B2B space. Is that where like we're from? There's never pushback on that. Like if an app or if a software is built in another country and 100% of that workforce is in the other country, you never hear people saying like, oh, that's not American, I'm not going to use that product or software.
Not so much.
I don't.
But I do. I know of other countries. I know of companies that that want to actually hire U.S. labor for some of their projects. But
Yeah, I guess the
agree.
labor.
If
When
you're
you start
like, oh,
talking
that's in
labor,
Ireland.
yeah.
I would say that I think that really cuts to the heart of Jared, your point. Because Jared, I actually agree with you. When I buy stuff, I'm buying the best product, what I think would be the best product. I will admit, if I see two things that look similar and one of them might say made in the U.S., I might in the past have been a sucker for that. Oh, I'll go with the one that was, and it turns out it wasn't. So probably whatever. But I think when it comes to things like
your American
when it comes to
pride for the
software-
day.
when it comes to software services, I feel like that's people are only like companies are only you're spending a lot of money on a piece of software that you're not going to like, oh, let's buy the American one with American work. You're going to buy the one that works best for your company. You know what I mean? Like there's just no it's not a marketing play, nor is it, so I don't think you see as much there. But not to get off this topic and go back to something we've ranted about playing in the past, is that all the tariff discussion, the made in USA stuff, like the loophole has been offshore labor. That's the one thing that has not been targeted. You know what I mean? And
it's the biggest based on our current economy.
It's the biggest gap, and it's where most of the jobs are flooding to now, is in our service-based economy. So I don't want to get into that topic, but I just want to kind of throw it out there that I think that's also part of the reason why made in the USA quote unquote marketing and like services or B2B like doesn't exist, because no one would make a purchase based on that.
And I don't know, maybe this is just kind of like that, the greatest generation, right? Because that's a lot of the people that were like buying American. There are also a lot of the jobs that they had being in factories and forging plants and making a lot of tools. And then, there were unions that came out with campaigns based on like Japanese automakers coming here, calling things like Jap crap and so on and so forth. But I still, like, if it's between two separate countries, like let's say that something was made outside of the U.S., in the other, and it was software, I'm gonna go for that for sure.
I don't think you can say that anymore, by the way.
It's so hard to. It is. But I'm always looking for the highest quality thing too. I drive a German car because it is way higher quality dollar for dollar than I could get in any U.S. car, and I've tried them. Right? I used to have U.S. cars, and dude, they went downhill. It's a really, really shitty thing. And to me, it's not about at this point not supporting like U.S. jobs or U.S. labor. It's just, dude, how often, in how many instances do you have to trick the American people? Because that's what we're talking about here is literally this. Like we're being hoodwinked in so many different ways by all of these brands.
It's not hard. It's not hard
to hoodwink people in general, or are you calling Americans stupid? Because
well, I'm gonna bite it there because I can get hold. I'm not about ready to. I know you tried to bait me, but I'm not doing it.
That was clarification. That's all that
here. I'm gonna shift it a little bit, and I'll ask you guys this question: Is bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. actually like a realistic? Something that we can realistically do at scale, or have supply chains just gone too far to unwind?
It would take at least I think it would take at least 20 years. I mean, dude, we've been China, like it's insane how good their manufacturing is over there because they've had like 40 years to build it, right? I mean, it's like whole towns, right? So for instance, if you want to get something made here in the United States, you're going to have to contact all these different manufacturers. The only things manufactured in the United States are small runs, meaning it doesn't make sense.
Where are those
China,
manufactured?
China. Anybody that's claiming that a peptide is made in the United States is more than likely lying, and you should go ahead and report that person. Now, granted, you want them to be tested in the United States, right? And here's the other thing: almost all pharmaceuticals are made between China and India. For the most part. Why? Because it's super inexpensive labor, and they have just super dialed in engineering for it. But anyway, going back to my point, like, all right, let's say that you want to, you want to make any kind of complicated product or whatnot. In the U.S., you would have to try to contact everybody project manages thing. Over in China, like there's areas that are set up to make phones, shoes, whatever you name it. It's just so easy and so simple to do it over there. They have it dialed in. It would take us years to try to do something similar here.
Yeah.
I agree with everything John said. I think it's also when the tariff craziness started happening a year ago, there was people who innately understood that. There's the allure, I think, of making and buying all your stuff from America, but it's just not possible. I think that at least not in the short term. And at the same time, too, even if it took 20 years for us to get there to do that, is it still even the right move? You know what I mean? Like, what are we getting out of it?
Well, GDP, right? So like we would protect our economy more if we had more exports and we made more here, right? So that's one, which is a very healthy thing. We'd also protect U.S. jobs. I mean, dude, the layoffs that are going on right now. I mean, like Oracle, eBay, like everybody, right? Because we're a knowledge economy. Well, if that knowledge, based on our last episode, I know.
But the economics, sorry, the economics of it, like, could we even support it if we wanted to? You know what I mean? Like our cost of living would have to come down. You know what I mean? In order to support
like
that.
The only possibility I see here is robotics. You can't just flip a switch and say
if we commit to this, it's going to work. It's also the fact that like, could you even earn like a
and
proper
regulations,
standard of living?
Dude, in China, like those towns I was talking about, like they live there at this job.
No one in America would want to trade places with anybody.
Totally
which
not,
is my
dude.
point.
Yeah, it's like, hey, man, you got to work a Saturday. They're like, oh, my God, where's the gun? It's like, dude. I mean, but over there, they're like working like 12 hours a day, and like they do this the entire time, and they go home for Chinese New Year, right? There might be some like other holidays that are over there. So in that case, it sucks. But yeah, they're eating our lunch and smoking us from a competitive standard when it comes to manufacturing. But robotics may be something where we can bring more labor back to the U.S. because we like over there they don't have the same regulations we do, just from a pollution standpoint or just like a worker lack of a better term like habitat or environment. Yeah, dude, like over there is like it was here in like the early 1900s. Ours, we have to have so many different safety regulations from the air they breathe to the ergonomics and everything in between, and as well as the sound. That I don't think it would even be remotely possible to bring the jobs here, nor for the pay either.
I mean, listen, the American people want like their products made in the U.S., but they don't want to pay U.S. prices, and that's where that's where what it comes down to. So and I'll go back to the gullibility of the is that a word, gullibility? It should be if it's not. Yeah, it is good. The gullibility of
I like how you're like, you know what, we're gonna forge this into a new word.
The confidence he had. No, I made that.
Somebody Google gullibility and tell me and confirm that that's real. All two listeners. But we're gullible. Like we're gonna like you could literally say anything. Like all these American these American T-shirts. I'm gonna put it out there. The MAGA gear. That's all made overseas, which is the funniest thing about all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's not made in the U.S. They don't even go to try to rip the tags off of them. The tags are there, and they tell you where it's made. And I just but you can't convince a lot of people that that's true, which is a whole separate conversation.
But being patriotic should not be a left or a right thing. It's a healthy country. Do you know what I mean?
I agree.
And also too, if you take like the lefts are more supportive of unions, which is a very pro-American thing. And there's a lot of good that unions do, right? There's bad, of course, because it raises costs, but there's a happy balance that happens in there. So that's where I think a lot of people get lost, where it's just like, oh, it's a right or a left thing. No, dude, it is an American thing. And if it's not something that's looked at and figured out from an economic standpoint, dude, we're going to be England. And that's like that's just like a banking economy. It's not a very safe or healthy place long term for an economy.
What's the solve? Like, what's the solve when you say like what can actually be done if we know that these jobs necessarily aren't going to come back?
This is a crazy thing. A lot of people don't realize. You really want to buy American? Buy used, because that keeps the money in our economy. A lot of people don't realize that. You don't always have to buy new.
So, Jared, I guess the thing is, like, we kind of diverged from, because when we were just started talking about this whole thing, we were talking really from a marketing standpoint. You know what I mean? Just like advertising your shit.
I know, Jared, we derailed it. Fuck.
That's fine. And then we kind of moved into the section. We're back to talking about like onshoring, offshoring, and like domestic, kind of actual production, which is a very different. I don't know if we're qualified even like. We're not. It's such a macro problem that like. I don't
bullshitters on the business bullshitter podcast.
I don't know what the fix
we're consumers.
is. I can't fix the global economy and what America's role should be in production. Yeah. I just know a bullshit fix when I hear it, which is what like a lot of the stuff we've heard last year.
Yes.
But for the marketing angle is the thing that like I don't know if it's a fix. I think it's just people being more aware of like how if you believe strongly in buying stuff that's like if you buy into Buy America and you want to support American businesses or you want to support veteran businesses or you want to support Black-owned or women-owned businesses, like make sure you actually don't just look at the label and what's on it, you know what I mean? Or don't just look at like the advertising, because making sure you have a good idea of like the ways you can be misled, which is why I kind of, when I let off the podcast, all those different, I was not aware that like assembled in the US versus designed in the US versus craft. Never struck me as something I needed to like really kind of look at separately. I did want to point one other thing out though, is that because as I was like looking through all this shit, there's all kinds of stuff. There's tariff washing, there's tariff era reshoring marketing scams. Like there's so many other aspects of this. Just to talk about our own dysfunction of our federal government, and this is not again a regular. This is just how big our government is and how many aspects there are. The restrictions or the requirements for the U.S. government's procurement for them to buy things that are American is different than what the FTC's regulations are. So for like, if the federal government wants to buy stuff from providers for whatever their purposes are, their threshold needs to be like 55 to 60%, you know what I mean, of it has to be like from American parts or parts made in America, whereas the FTC is 95%. So even within the government itself, they can't fucking agree on what constitutes being an American product, which just sums up like, of course, like, how the fuck are we going to solve the problem of domestic production where our own government can't even like, one side can't agree with the other side in terms of what constitutes that?
And I know we want to talk more about the marketing side, but obviously this is an impassioned subject for me. The government needs to offer more incentives for manufacturing. Like we don't do that. Like they need to push it in schools more. And somebody said, oh well, we have these programs. Well, it's not working. We need more, right? And more and more and more. So I mean, kids, push them to be more engineers, so they're creating like that. That's what we need to get back to, and that's something that I think can solve the long term. But this is just some guy that consumes a lot of stuff, and wishes more of it was American. So that's my experience.
Do you going back to the marketing side? Do you think that do companies get rewarded for transparency, or are they going to be punished for being honest about where things are made? Because I think that is the line that these companies need to make. And most of them are not transparent whatsoever because they know it's going to hurt them if they are.
Do they get rewarded for being transparent?
For being transparent?
No, I'd say that would hurt
or
them. Or
punished for being honest.
Shinola watches, right? Like they were supposedly made in Detroit. No, like the real guts of the watch were made in Switzerland. Do I blame that company for that? No, dude, Switzerland is like the best place to make the guts of that watch. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't say that was, like made in America at that point.
Yeah. I did think this discussion might come up. So have you guys heard of American Giant? I have not. It wasn't something I heard of before. Okay. I wanted to find one company that did things the right way, right? So I was trying to dig around for one. So there's a company called American Giant. God, I hope this is real and I hope I don't get
I know, dude. I was like, is this,
as I start like, hey, here's a company, and they're going to find out later the whole thing's bullshit. So
they're on the Epstein list too.
Yeah, these guys they make apparel, and I guess apparently the founder, wanted to make things that were truly sourced and built and everything in the United States. So cotton is grown in the American Southwest and Southeast, goes to U.S. mills, blah, blah, blah. Now, naturally, their flagship hoodie is $138 because that's what it fucking costs to make a hoodie that's American. Yeah. And their basic T-shirt runs like $40 to $60. So these are not cheap products, right? Now, the one thing I guess that, and the CEO, I guess, kind of talks very openly about this and like what a pain in the butt it is. The one thing that was interesting is they did get like a Walmart partnership or something like that where they were able to provide a T-shirt that I guess you can buy at Walmart. If there's any Walmart shoppers or American Giant fans, please let me know if this is all true. They're able to get it down to $12.98 as the price. And that's only because Walmart buys a shit fuck ton of them in bulk is the only way they can make the economics of that work. So, interesting. There's very few companies like that actually go through that. I hope that's not a bullshit story.
Here, I'll tell you. While you were talking, here's what it says. Mostly true. Made in the U.S. still allows small amounts of foreign materials under FTC rules, which we just talked about. Some minor components, zippers, hardware, etc., can still be made globally.
Is this
but the big picture,
American Giant?
Yeah. Specific to American Giant. But big picture, John, I pulled a wrong stat earlier and talked about 11%. Your inclination was correct. Only 3% of clothing sold in the U.S. is actually made domestically today in the U.S.
That sounds more accurate. Yeah, that is a sad thing. But what's also compelling here is, all right, so that hoodie costs $120, $138, whatever you said. But then if you're going to buy like a Balenciaga hoodie or one of these others, it's going to be like $500 to maybe.
Did he just get loud? Like really loud?
He just stepped up into the mic.
What did you just got like really like into it right there? Your decibels went up pretty fucking high.
I was literally just talking about the same thing. Must have been a peptide that just flared off of a fat cell. But I think ultimately what I'm saying is like, all right, like if there was that type of prestige, and taste that was in it for that brand, it would make more sense because like Balenciaga or Prada or any of these other things, all that crap's made in China too, right? None of that stuff's like made in Italy like they're saying. So there's a whole nother luxury trick game going on in that space as well. And China always benefits. All roads lead back there, man. It's an incredible thing. From a business standpoint, they've played an incredible game.
You ever been there?
No, I'm not allowed.
Wait,
Not allowed.
let this be a good story.
No, I'm just kidding, dude. I don't know.
God damn it! So excited for a second.
Yeah. All right, James. Where do we go from here to keep on track? You can edit this part out.
I don't know if we have anything else. I think this might be a short episode. I think we kind of covered everything, honestly. For me, my takeaway was like, whatever's on the label's probably still bullshit. So if you are a made in the USA shopper, you believe in supporting these things, good for you. You're probably getting duped though, so just be aware of that. That's the only real fix I think for this. And the higher level macro stuff is I think beyond our ability to kind of make a recommendation for it. But like I said, it's if you're passionate about again veteran-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, black-owned, whatever your thing is, good for you. Just make sure it's actually what you think it is or what they're purporting to be. So.
Imagine like a tax incentive, right, for like buying in America. Like there's no tax on those things for a while, right? I mean, what that would do. Like there's all kinds of like these little things that nobody's trying.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to go back, and this is I'm coming off as very anti-American in this episode, but
You are.
James, you're talking about people doing their research, like and really digging in. That's the fucking problem right now with this country is people don't do their research. They hear something and that's their opinion and that's what it is. They're not doing research.
Okay, so let's get off topic for a second. It's never been easier to do research. It's not,
I know.
We just did a whole thing on AI. I will say I think that Twitter has every year, even before Elon bought, it's become an increasingly bigger cesspool every year since its existence.
Yes,
even when
for sure.
You can blame part of it on Elon, but I do think it's just that he just
Is there like truly
happened to
murder
buy it.
videos on there now? I've heard this.
Probably.
I haven't verified it. Yeah.
But I will say the flip side.
John, mess
is
with
that-
your algorithm. John, change your algorithm up a little bit and let us know.
Yeah, I will say
that's what I'm seeing.
Grok as integrated in Twitter is the
Yes.
best invention in social
so
media
good.
history the past 10 years. When
It really
someone
is.
tweets something that you think is bullshit, you just reply and say, Grok, is this true? And it will fucking straight answer. Like even Elon gets busted out by it. Like it'll say, no, this is a misleading post. Like it says it's never been easier to spot fact check anything on Twitter or anywhere else in social media. But that's the same thing. And you see something, it's so easy to put it into Claude or wherever else and just saying, is this true?
But we care enough to know whether or not it's true. Unfortunately, most people don't give a shit. They're not going to go in the comments because somebody's probably asking Grok if this is true. Because that's what I do. If I see something, any type of video, I just assume is fake until Grok proves me right or wrong.
That's true.
Right?
There's people that just want to see things burn, right?
Yeah.
It's just like they just want to just ferment it, and I used to
it's
be naive
laziness,
enough to
dude.
think that wasn't real, but they're like, when
It's lazy. It's very, very lazy.
What I do now is anytime like one of my friends want to like share it could be political or just like news or whatever's going on, and it looks questionable and they're getting worked up. I mean, I just go and like, Grok, is this true? And there's no, I'm like, are you an idiot? Like, how did you? People who get worked up. It's never been easier to fact check stuff in the moment.
Yeah.
That's killer. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
It is funny because my wife is a lawyer, so she's cautious about everything. Like anything that she sees, she just assumes is fake. So Grok's actually helped me prove like a lot of my points and things that I'm showing her. It took her probably.
Whoa, hold on a second. So Grok is helping you in your marriage win arguments?
No, yeah, no. Hey, if I send, shut up. Listen, if I send her something,
James, did you hear the same thing I heard? I mean, that's it. Okay.
All right. If I send her something she's going to write back, yeah, I don't believe that that's not true. And then I'll show her like Grok shows that it is true and gives the details on why it's true. Anyway, it took her 3 weeks after Will Smith slapped Chris Rock to finally believe that it really happened. Like, that's how she just like, I don't care.
Wow, that's the level of her skepticism, huh?
Dude, very
I
skeptical.
know a lot of
on that
people who
shit.
thought it was fake, but like it was pretty apparent by a day
Fake
later.
as
that it was
in
real.
like it was like scripted, or fake as in it was like an
It was a
AI
work.
kind of
It
deal?
was like it was
Yeah?
scripted.
Okay.
A lot of people
Work,
thought it was
yeah,
scripted.
scripted.
I mean, I think that night a lot of people thought that, but it wasn't until like by the next day when people started doing interviews, it was pretty apparent that it was a real thing that happened.
The reactions. I think the reactions were the crazy part. But I don't know.
Chris Rock made so much money off that slap, though, dude. He did a whole tour. He was sold out. Not that he wouldn't have been sold out anyway, but dude, like that's all ultimate like comeuppance, right? You just that happens to you, and then you just go your own way. You don't really do a whole lot with it and make a ton of money on it. That's American.
How many years ago was this? 2 years?
No.
3 years? I
This
don't
is 2022, 2023. Yeah.
know. It's been a while. Anyway,
All right. So buy American.
yeah, but make sure
fuck
it's
if you can.
actually American.
If you can.
If you can afford it. Anyways,
You know what I'm going to do for this episode as we close out? I'm going to add a little different theme song to this episode. I got an idea.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be Born in the USA.
Hulk Hogan, I'm a real American.
Are you gonna play like Iran's national anthem, Jared? You anti-American terrorist? Is that what you're going for? Yeah, traitor.
No, you'll see what it is. It's just going to be the whole. I'm going to put the whole video on at the end of this.
Okay.
Well, that's
we
a
go.
wrap for episode 31 of the Business of Bullshit podcast. Catch us on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. James Hornick, Jared Gibson, John Soraka signing off, reminding you that business is bullshit.
America.